This is your Neepawa Town Council debrief for the September the 6th, 2022 meeting. The debrief will take you through the key issues being discussed by Council and provide a bit more information on what they mean for the town. In September, Council returned to their twice monthly meetings after meeting just once a month for the summer. The agenda was relatively light, but covered some significant issues for Neepawa all the same. We continue to see improvements take place throughout the town. Councillor Parrott reported on additional work on the Beautiful Plains Clinic, including a new canopy and roof repairs. And then Manager of Operations Denise Sakay talked about road improvements throughout the town. The street patcher came through last week to address some cracking and potholes, though there are still several areas that remain to be done. He also indicated they will be paving Commerce Street shortly, which we now know from other sources will be between September 7th and 9th. There is no word yet on when Davidson will be completed. Sakay also explained the process of relining the old clay sewer pipes, some of which date back to 1908, which has taken place in a few areas of town this month.
Okay, I don't know if we have any council reports tonight or not. Councilor Parrott.
Just that we've got tenders out for the clinic's south entrance to do a canopy on there. Just waiting for the third one to come in. And we'll also be fixing and replacing the roof on the west side of the clinic. And thank you to the recruitment committee. We have a new doctor starting in the next few weeks. So that will be a great asset to the town of Neepawa. And I think that's about it.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Parrott. Anybody else? Okay, pretty quiet tonight. Okay. How about you, Denise? What do you got? Manager of Operations.
Thank you very much. So, visually, some of you may have seen we had some street work happening. We had the street patcher out, working with some of our streets, some of our rougher zones with bad potholes or loud cracking or alligator cracking. So they've done some repair work there. They have a little bit of work left to do. They extended their contract just to facilitate a little bit more work, as we burned through quite a bit of the budget just working on Hamilton Street here, these two blocks. We also had another contractor come in situ form, and they did some sewer lining, some of our pipes. So we did Vivian, Walker, we did the whole main line trunk that goes around Mill Street up towards the hospital back there. We had several trunks that needed to be replaced, and we also did a storm drain up on Whitmore Crescent. So we completed that. We're still waiting on some additional sidewalk repairs and curb work to be done. In the meantime, Maple Leaf has contacted, said that they'll be able to come in to do Commerce Street paving, so we're anticipating that hopefully this week. I'll do a follow-up with them to see when they'll be mobilizing in for that. Unfortunately, their concrete crew isn't available until later fall, so we'll have to wait for them to return to finish off the remainder of the work there. And we've also been in discussions with our multi-use trail park consultant on commencing some of the design work on that, so we'll be going on and off with that. Work with several other contractors regarding some pool upgrades and different work around town. So things are moving along really nice, and we keep a lot of contractors busy.
Can you just go back to that line? What do you mean when you say you line sewer lines?
So some of the pipes that we line are all turn of century, so they're all our first stuff, so 1908, 1912, nice and old stuff. It's all clay tile sewer pipe. Some of those were structurally failing, or they just have too many joints, too many cracks, excessive services. The flow isn't where it is, so what we do is they'll push a fiberglass liner through it, and then they pressurize it, and we've just basically made a nice little stint inside there. Get rid of some medical stuff. So then it's a full structural pipe now. Actually, we could actually remove the old pipe, and this new fiberglass insert is 100% viable within there.
Well, so that's something we have been doing?
That's probably the third go-around I've done with it. The contractor has been very pleased with its results.
Okay.
I actually have a few samples I can show you afterwards if you want to see what it looks like.
I didn't know that. Okay, perfect. Anybody else got questions? Yeah, Councilor.
Yeah, I was just approached people. Any chance on anything happening on the tennis court front? Who is the contractor that has the concrete work for that?
Concrete work is all Maple Leaf for the curbing along with the paving.
Any chance when they come to do Commerce, that's on their radar?
Commerce Street will be done this
Yes.
week, if that's what they give me the initial words, unless they've seen some additional delays. But that's their word, they told me,
Nothing with the tennis courts then?
no. Unless they can somehow squeeze extra time in to do tennis courts, because the tennis courts is strictly paving as well.
Stonehouse Road extension. You see they graded it and all that, is that completed
That'll be later on.
this year?
That's the goal for this year.
Denise, can you, I've had a few of the public asking about pool upgrades changes, can you just comment on that?
We'll be meeting tomorrow with one of the contractors and the engineer to see what we can do for some of the structural piles. At that point, once we commence that work, then commercial pools can come in, finish off our major. So the aim again is to try to find contractors who work.
Okay, thank you, Denise.
The multi-use trail park will be receiving some new funding in the near future, thanks to the federal government. The park was one of just 2 projects in Manitoba that were chosen to receive funding under the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, with up to $550,000 to develop the park for year-round activities. The federal government will be shouldering 80% of the costs, with the town responsible for just 20%. The town is also investigating a partnership with the Manitoba Métis Federation to potentially plant native trees and plants and develop some interpretive signage throughout the trail park.
Correspondence, Investing in Canada, Colleen.
So last month we met on August 16th. On August 17th, we were pleased to have a notification on the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Grant that we applied for in 2019 for our multi-use trail park. So Terry Duguid, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment, Climate Change, and Member of Parliament for Winnipeg South, on behalf of the Honourable Dominic LeBlanc, Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs, Infrastructure and Communities, and the Honourable Reg Heller, Minister of Labour, Consumer Protection and Government Services, announced funding in Manitoba for 2 sports and recreation infrastructure projects. The first one went to an ice plant for Winnipeg. More importantly for us, being number 2, is that they're supporting our multi-use trail park project in Neepawa with an investment up to $550,000. Of course, noting that in the summer, the idea is to be year-round, we'll be cycling and walking. In winter, we would adapt to flat biking, snowshoeing, and cross-country skiing. So we have fulfilled our goals yet of making it a year-round resort, but we plan to do that in phase 2. Gives more options for Neepawa residents and the surrounding area to stay active and enjoy nature year-round. So part of this project, we have to fund $137,500. But the importance of this is 80% of the funding for this project is coming from the federal government, 20% coming from us. So 20 cents on every dollar that's going to get spent there comes from here, and that's pretty significant. And being only one of 2 announced for Manitoba under Investing in Canada Infrastructure under this particular realm of grants was pretty fortunate for us.
Nope, it's pretty exciting. Any questions, any comments?
Compliments to our staff for getting on it.
Yeah, I don't think you quite a year to get there, right?
Well, it's like the Lagoon one, 3 years from application time. So.
Yeah.
You know, as it was in the paper, a lot of residents ask, what is that money going to go towards? Because the bike park's already there. Is there kind of some ideas of what that money will be spent on?
So for those that came to the open house, and I don't think we have those pictures in here any longer, but the idea is to create the picnic shelters, viewing towers, public play areas. There's going to be children's play activities in areas, more of a nature type of theme to them, as opposed to a playground that would be natural. Maybe to make they're working on more features and whatnot, and making the trail a little bit more easier for maintenance. So as much as you all seen grass growing up there earlier this year, we were sitting tight as well on this, knowing this may get announced at some point in time. We might be fortunate enough and now we can advance along and create all of those amenities that people would have seen at that open house on those pictorials that were given by the design consultant. So I don't know.
No, what that is, it could be accenting the existing stuff we have, the addition of a few new trails, but site amenities are definitely a big component of this, as well as revegetation, more trees in there, just to ensure we can try to mitigate more erosion in the future.
So the actual bike trails, whatever, they stay exactly the same?
So we'll get some improvements to them, so we've noticed some bad erosion. We'll be addressing those, obviously within this component. So.
Okay.
Well, maybe mention, because a lot more money is coming federally, there is nothing coming provincially. One of the requirements is that we have a consultation obligation under a partnership possibility with Canada's Indigenous people. So we have met and spoken with the Manitoba Métis Federation now a few times now, looking at partnering perhaps for tree planting, if that is a possibility, we can provide labor. Looking at the species of trees and vegetation that could exist up there with maybe some interpretive naming attached to some of the species to give an idea of the relevance to the Indigenous people. So we're working through those components, and it's been a learning experience as well for us, because this isn't anything we've had to do in the past, because there was not necessarily a large federal component to a project, or if there was, it was a very limited vision insofar as they wouldn't be able to provide lagoon services, for example, or establish those kinds of things. So we're making some headway.
Okay, thank you. All right.
The town has also been investigating developing a new cemetery database and adding wayfinding signage. Council passed a motion to fund the new software, but CAO Colleen Sanchishan indicates there is still a lot of work to be done before the information will be available to visitors.
Okay, cemetery database.
Okay, so back when we were discussing changes that were necessary and would be viewed very positively at the cemetery, we talked about having a cemetery database that could be accessible by the public as well, by just going onto a certain web link and looking up John Smith kind of thing, and being able to locate them in the cemetery. I linked that to some wayfinding signage and whatnot. We were trying to create an interactive experience where you didn't necessarily need to be at the office all the time to find somebody's plot or lot, and somebody to be at the cemetery to give you directions to do so. Some research was done into what a cemetery database would be like here. There is very limited official databases out there. We were able to get some quotes actually from a particular company that would be able to provide for $16,000 initially, and then some GIS mapping, but we don't know the dollar value of the GIS mapping. Anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. We think we can get it for around $2,000 It is necessary to get this information. So I don't have any resolution here to approve the cost for the GIS. We just know it's going to be somewhere in $2,000 to $3,000. And then $3,200 annually to upkeep this particular database. So this would convert our existing Excel data spreadsheet to a secure self-contained database, give accurate record keeping and inventory management. It would be easier inputting, sorting, and updating of personal information, totally interactive with the mapping component, user conduct online web searches. We would link it to our data, and then of course updates to the map for real time. And we would display via Google Maps showing the exact walking location of the site for users and visitors. So this is the company that City of Winnipeg actually uses and looks after all of their municipal cemeteries there. It's called Central Square. It is based out of the United States, and they do have offices in BC. So this was very highly recommended. There was a demonstration pilot project last week that we sat through. Clearly it was a little over my head. I don't necessarily work in the cemetery, but the ladies that were there were very impressed with what they see on screen, and it looks like it would greatly improve the record system around here. So we're recommending that we purchase this and get it in place if we can. In doing so, we have the ability to take it out of our reserve for cemetery, which clearly is an approved expenditure out of our reserve, and posting it through there as opposed to on your general.
Any questions, any comments? Councilor.
I just think it's fantastic that we can improve access, and then even for historians who want to start seeking names, maybe make that as a reason to come to the Neepawa Cemetery as well. I think that's fantastic. We should go ahead with it.
There'll be a lot of work at the front end, but they've already kind of started the research.
Okay, if there's nobody else, we'll move forward with that motion. Moved by Councilor Byrne, seconded by Councilor Kosterchuk. Be it resolved that we approve the purchase of cemetery database software from Central Square for an initial investment of $16,000 plus GSI mapping cost and an annual maintenance charge of $3,200. And further be it resolved that this expenditure be borne by the cemetery maintenance reserve. All in favor? Carried.
Council passed second reading of the new water and sewer rates, which were introduced at a meeting back in June. and third reading of the bylaw that will rezone a 40-acre parcel of land at the corner of Highway 16 and Broadway. There has been some intense conversation about the rezoning over the summer, but council ultimately voted to pass the motion unchanged. Now that the rezoning hurdle has been cleared, we hope to hear a related announcement from the town or the province in the near future.
Okay, water and sewer rates going.
So as you know, back in June, I presented a PowerPoint presentation to the public and to council about what PUB application would look like insofar as adjusting our water and sewer rates. So this would be second reading to our bylaw. We did first reading that evening, and after first reading, it submitted to the Public Utilities Board for a review. They've since returned to me. They had a few questions on some of the numbers, which we were able to answer for them. It was about basically where expenses get posted. And they said we could give second reading tonight to our bylaws. So just very quickly, the increase overall on just a normal, regular water residential customer would be $12 increase in 2023, $12 in 2024, and in 25 another $3. So that's a whole year increase. That's all it is. So it's roughly 4%. If you look, however, at there's been no changes in 2019. You're looking at roughly 2% increase a year, which is pretty decent for your water and sewer increases. So we kept it fairly stable, even with all the projects coming up that we've been working on, and it's looking like we should be able to get that through for January.
Okay. Any questions, any comments? Okay, we'll move forward with that. Move by Councilor Leduc, second by Deputy Mayor Henry. Be it resolved that bylaw number 3217-22, being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to establish water and sewer rates for the town of Neepawa's utility for the years 2023 to 2025, be now read for the second time. All in favor? Carried. Okay, calling in the amendment zoning bylaw that we discussed at the last meeting.
So this is just your third and final reading on an amendment to amend the property known as the Southwest 341450 from AR-O, which is Agricultural Restricted Open Space Zone, AR-R, Agricultural Restricted Residential Zone, and RS-U, Residential Unserviced, to reflect RM1, Residential Multi-Unit Zone, I, Institutional Zone, O, Open Space Zone, AR-R, Agricultural Restricted Residential Zone, and CH, Commercial Highway Zone. As we all know, there was a public hearing after first reading on this. We gave second reading at our last meeting. This is third and final reading.
Okay, I guess my only comment would be we had a really good discussion at the second reading. And I think at the end of the day, the majority made a decision to move forward with the existing bylaw the way it was in place. And I would like to just say tonight, I think we should all just come together to agree with that and move forward with the third reading as a majority. So, move by. Oh, sorry.
I'll move it.
Oh, moved by Councilor Perry.
I would like to speak.
Okay, and seconded by Councilor Constantine. So, be it resolved that bylaw number, this is a recorded vote, by the way, be it resolved that bylaw number 3216-22, being a bylaw of the town of Neepawa to amend the town of Neepawa zoning bylaw number 3184-18, be now read for a third time and passed. All in favor? So, that is unanimous. Carried. And you want to speak?
Well, I want to thank you for that comment, because that is the sign of a true leader, because you see where the town is going. And we did have a lot of issue with a 40-acre subdivision. We could not attract people coming in to develop it. So we've learned from that process. We're moving forward, making this a more attractive area for our town, and getting a certain location prepped for a very major event in Neepawa, which we still can't talk about.
Of course.
So I commend you for that, and I commend the rest of council for all the work that has been done towards this day. And I am now going to take a big ball of sweat off and head forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we are down to other business. Does anybody have any issue they want to talk about? Or? No? We're good tonight? Okay, we're going to move to adjournment. Moved by, oh, sorry. We do have something.
We had a tour today.
Yes, we did, that's right.
We had a tour. And in this tour, it was very evident that, yes, the contractors did a lot of work.
This is at the
To
URC.
bring us to the point where, yeah, the URC and keep going.
Right.
To bring us to the point of where we were, that we were able to see it, it was because of our town staff, you know, CAOs, assistant CAOs, then our MA, our MOO, and everybody else in the town staff, including Public Works, everybody worked towards that to make this thing happen. It's been a short build, but a long journey to get there. So thank you. God, I'm complimenting you tonight.
Yeah, you do. That's right.
And you know, I like you.
Maybe I'll just add for the public.
That's true.
We're looking, I'm just because they're wondering, when could we get a blue? Clearly, you're not going to be able to see the whole facility because of security reasons. But we're hoping mid-October-ish, you're thinking, to do a little opening and let everybody at least see what it looks like from the front entrance into the office area. Maybe.
Also covered were the regular financial reports and an expanded application to the Storefront Improvement Program. You can view end-to-end coverage of the Town Council meeting elsewhere in the NACTV schedule, including immediately following this. We welcome your feedback on the program, and if you have questions or items that you would like to see clarified or discussed, you can reach us at 204-476-2639 or by email at nactvnews@gmail.com. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you next time.